if you apply all those values and principles into other things like real estate or in school or in starting a business, you will be successful. But network marketing is a false reality. You're just never going to achieve that version of reality because it does not exist. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a minute since I've posted on here, but I've just been going through so many life changes. I do plan on posting way more fashion content. I have like a long list of videos that I really want to film and get up to you guys and just get back to making more fashion related videos because that's truly what makes me happy. And I know you guys like to see it as well. But today's video is going to be a little bit different because I have been binge watching anti-MLM videos for the longest time, ever since Kiki Chanel started making them, and then like more and more YouTubers started coming out with anti-MLM content and just spewing out facts about the truth behind what goes on behind the scenes in an MLM. I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into it. I was 18 years old when I was first recruited to join an MLM. Since then, the MLM has actually been shut down by the FTC. So that just goes to show that it is illegal. And one of these days, all of these MLMs will be caught. You can only pay so many lawsuits so many times. But the MLM that I was involved in was called Vemma/Verve.
In the early 2010s, a burgeoning storm of bullshit eclipsed the sun, drawing darkness upon college campuses nationwide. A sinister fog loomed briefly in the air before giving way to the storm's unrelenting fury.
This is about a 3 to 5 year plan where you never have to worry about money ever again. This is that next big thing. It's going to go down in history. We're changing lots of people's lives.
Howling winds of exploitation swept up every SoundCloud rapper from your high school in its path, thrashing the very souls of those who succumbed to its might.
Complaints from parents that the company preys on young adults, that it encourages students to abandon college based on false hopes and dreams. Some call it a pyramid scheme, and worse, that it has brainwashed their kid.
This storm was known as Vemma, the newest multi-level marketing venture from walking midlife crisis BK Baroyko, whose previous MLM company was shut down by the federal government over claims that his product, God's Recipe, could cure ADHD.
A lot like the CEO of Youngliving, if you ask me. Although, to my knowledge, BK Baroyko never tried to perform surgery on anybody, so that's a plus. However, it's the intention behind everything.
BK Baroyko is the CEO of Vemma, guys. He's one of the nicest, biggest heart guy in the world. 2 private planes, all the money in the world, guys. But he created this to help people live better. That's all we're about. And yeah, you can make $1 million a year or $1 million a month. That's pretty cool too. So
delusions of grandeur and promises of incomes ranging from thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month were peddled to naive freshman students by the dead-eyed, billabong shorts-wearing puppets that served as the faces of the company.
And if you remember them back in the day, they were like the energy drink, like coffee, multi-level marketing company that really targeted college kids. And I was in college when I was recruited. Like I said, I was 18 years old. And so how it all happened was I had never heard of a multi-level marketing company. I mean, I had heard of Mary Kay, but I didn't know that it was considered a multi-level marketing company. My aunt actually growing up sold Mary Kay. My mom would buy like little lipsticks and eyeshadows and stuff from her to support her. Anyways, so I was recruited my freshman year of college when I was back home for Christmas break, and I get like a random text from this girl who I hadn't talked to in quite some time, since high school, I think. So, I mean, I hadn't talked to her in about a year or so, maybe a little bit more. She was like, "What are you doing right now?" And I was like, "I'm just at home with my mom." It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, literally wasn't doing anything. And she was like, "I need you to come to this place right now. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, you're not gonna wanna miss this." And I was like, "Wait, where am I going? What's this about? What are you talking about?" It was just so random and spur of the moment that she just wanted me to say yes right then and there and just go to this event. And I was like, "Well, what am I going to?" And she wouldn't give me any answers. She just like left me in the dark. And she was like, "Just trust me, you're not gonna want to miss this. This experience, whatever you're gonna go to will change your life. Just go if you're not doing anything. And I was like, no, that sounds like kind of sketchy. So I turned her down. But then after like 20, 30 minutes of thinking about it, I was like, why won't she tell me what she's talking about? Didn't give me anything. I didn't even know it was like a business opportunity. I didn't know. I had absolutely no idea. Just imagine getting a text from someone you hadn't talked to in a really long time, and they say, come to this location right now. It's gonna change your life. And if you say no, you're gonna regret it. I would try to ask questions and she just like wouldn't give me any information. And the FOMO really started kicking in. I mean, I was 18 years old and I was like, what could she possibly be talking about? And so I texted her back and I'd already said no. And I was like, fine, what's the address? I'll go. Worst mistake of my life. Actually, I do want to end this video on a positive note and sort of go over some of the things that the whole experience taught me. Yeah, it was like a pretty negative experience overall. I did learn some positive lessons from it moving forward. So anyways, I show up to this house and it's just a whole bunch, like 50, probably 50 or 60 young college kids in their 18, 19, 20-year-old stage. And we're in this house and everyone's just like crowded around the living room. I get there and it's like a little meet and greet and I'm like, where am I? What is this? Still didn't have a clue what I was doing, where I was or anything like that. And so this girl was like, we're just gonna watch this video real quick. And I was like, okay. So then they play the video and it's everyone's just like huddled up around this TV and they turn the lights off and it's like a 20 to 30 minute long video all about a lifestyle of money, cars, like Lamborghinis, financial freedom, like selling this dream. And then the whole time I'm like, yeah, like this is awesome. Like still didn't know what it was about, but I agreed with the message that they were trying to sell me on, like financial freedom and, you know, being an entrepreneur and all of those things. And I will say, like looking back, the whole experience did bring out like that business mentality out of me that I didn't even know I had. I was super lazy in high school and I feel like I really learned how to like kick it into gear and just figure things out and like get stuff done. I had never worked so hard before in my entire life. So I was sitting there and I was like, yes, I agree with this message. Like I'm all about it. And then I'm like, okay, so now what? And then they finally talk about the product at the very, very end. And I'm like, still so confused. And I'm like, okay, what does this dream have to do with this product? Like, I must have missed the bridge or something because I was still so confused. And so, anyways, I get to talking to like some of the really successful people in the company. And one thing leads to another. And they like invited me to another meeting. And I finally start sort of putting the pieces together, but not all the way. Because that really happened until after I joined. It all sort of started to make a little bit more sense. I don't even remember how it all happened, but I did end up signing up like within a couple of days. And I just bought like the starter pack that was $150 or $200. I honestly can't remember. The way that they sold it to me was like, okay, well, if you want people to buy this product from you, you're gonna wanna have inventory. You're gonna have to sample these products. People are gonna have to know what they're buying. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. As much as I don't want to purchase this, like it makes sense. And so, because at the beginning, when I sort of started to like piece things together, I was like, cool, so we're just, you know, doing marketing for this company, I guess. Like I had no idea that they wanted me to like invest my own money into this company. I joined the company and I went all in.
I will win! I will win! Let's go!
And I did every single thing that they told me to do. I had, like I said, I had never worked so hard before in my entire life.
I just want to give a quick disclaimer to anybody who might be watching this that is in an MLM right now and has that mentality that if you fail, it is your fault. My upline had multiple conversations with me, and I believe that they all were brainwashed. They didn't know what they were doing. They got sucked into it just like I did. And they were like, we don't understand why you're not succeeding. They were like, we see you work hard. They had to do all of the calls the recruitment calls with me. So it's not like I was just recruiting people on my own. I had to put people on a 3-way call, have someone who was higher above me, talk to them to recruit them because I didn't have credibility yet. So they saw how hard I was working because they were working with me. So they were also just as...
I was super lazy in high school, and this is the one thing that I finally felt like I was super passionate about and that I could really run with. When I find something that I like, I love it and I go all in. I stopped going out at one point to do personal development. I would have like 5 to 6 meetings lined up all day, every day. I was constantly recruiting. My problem wasn't necessarily that I couldn't find people to sign up, because I could. It was just, you have to do it in such a small time frame. I would sign people up and they would quit, or I would sign people up and the timeline wouldn't line up correctly with the way the the payout schedule worked. So like I wouldn't cycle, which means like, you know, if they would have signed up like 2 days before, I would have hit my monthly goal and then I would have ringed up. Something was off and it just made it really difficult for me to like hit all those little requirements that you need to like level up. Once I finally got the training and all of that stuff, like a month in, I realized that my account was inactive. And I was like, why is this account inactive? Like, I just bought the starter pack like 4 weeks ago. I'm doing everything I can. And they were like, well, you know, if you don't recruit, you know, 3 people by the end of the month, then you have to pay for the personal volume yourself. And I was like, wait, so you want me to keep buying product every single month? And I'm in college and I have to support myself? So at that point, I was so like emotionally invested in this and in the future of like what my life could look like, that I was willing to do anything. And you can ask anybody who knew me back then. I talked to every single person I knew about this business opportunity. Like, I'm not even kidding. I finally spoke up about this on my Instagram, and I had so many people that I was closer with back then message me and say, oh my God, remember when you tried to recruit me? Like, it was my identity. And the thing is like, I was in it for so long that I worked so hard at it that people associated me with Vemma/Verve, but I never was able to rank up or make any of my money back because of, like I said, the issues and stuff like with the timeline. And
I'm watching this video back and I still can't admit to the fact that it was the company. I'm saying that it was the timeline because I couldn't figure out how to recruit people or do whatever in the right time frame. No, it was the company. And I'm looking back and I'm like, this is something that I still struggle with today, is that I blame myself for everything and I just put all of the weight on my shoulders. So anyways, also in the documentary that I keep referencing, there is a clip about your brain and development and how when you're in your adolescence, around 18, 20 years old, you're most impressionable and it sort of shapes who you are, which is why now I'm 25 years old and I was 18 when this happened. And I'm still struggling with those mental issues that I put myself through. I put so much pressure on myself when I was in this company that I never let myself feel like the victim, and I still don't. It's always my fault in my head. And I want to believe that it's not all my fault all the time, but there's like a little bit of me that just doesn't believe it all the way.
so yeah, it was really frustrating and I was just always like, okay, next month I'll get it, next month I'll get it. I went to Vegas for a convention. My upline ended up paying for, I believe, the hotel, and I paid for the flight. Somebody paid for like my ticket into the convention because you have to pay to go to this convention. It was like $200 for like an admission ticket. I honestly can't remember, but it wasn't like $10. It wasn't cheap. And I'm just like, I felt like I invested so much of my money and time into this company for a dream that never came true, and it really burned me emotionally. They would always say like, you know, this will work for you if you don't quit.
The only way you fail in this is by quitting or doing nothing.
The reason why I stayed in it for so long was because I didn't want to be a quitter. I didn't want them to just say I gave up.
Managed to gaslight these kids into blaming themselves when they failed.
You want to be successful or you want to be a failure? It's your decision.
What's your excuse in this? Because I guarantee you we had it harder, dude.
And guilt them into sticking around for more.
They believe that if they leave it, they'll be leaving their dream.
and there'll be a failure.
If you don't make this work, what are you gonna go do?
Don't quit. Don't quit or you're selfish.
I don't understand why you want to quit. Like, it makes no sense because it's stupid easy, and the only stupid part about it is probably you for not understanding that.
Because that wasn't me, and I knew that if I just stuck in it for long enough that I was going to be able to see a return, and I never did. I remember like probably 2 or 3 months after I had joined, and I started with the starter pack to save my spot on the team. They always try to say that, and so I spent like $150 or, like I said, $200 for the starter pack just to reserve my spot. And then like 2 to 3 months later, they wanted me to upgrade to the $500 starter pack, where you get like so many cases of energy drinks. I think you get like, I honestly can't remember, it was so long, but you would get like a whole bunch more inventory, and you would qualify for more like bonuses. And I remember they like convinced me to use like my rent money for the starter pack.
I've had kids sell their Xbox to do this. I've had kids take out loans from the bank to do this.
And I stupidly did it. And then of course I was like, oh my God, now I don't have any money. And then my mom had to like let me borrow money to pay for my rent. And it was just like such a mess. And I just felt like I had strained myself so much for this, but I was like, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. It was never worth it. And then about a year or two after I left, I found out that it got shut down by the FTC. And I think the reason why is because they were, 1, targeting college kids, 2, they were selling this fake lifestyle. My upline, he ended up qualifying for a car, and with this company, you were able to pick whatever luxury car you wanted. So he got an Audi. I was hanging out with all of the people, and I was surrounding myself with all the people that I was supposed to, all the people who were successful in the company. And I was like, you know what, it's all about who you hang out with and all of these things and all this personal development mumbo jumbo that's honestly just not true. At least in multi-level marketing, it's BS. Now we can transition into some of the positive things that came out from my experience. The personal development was good to a certain extent. It definitely opened my eyes to like what hard work can do for you, because like I said, I was super lazy in high school. I had no motivation, no drive. I didn't know who I was. And so when I found this, I feel like I proved to myself that I did have a hard like work ethic in me. I stopped making excuses. And that's another toxic positivity thing that like they always say. No excuses. If you're not where you want to be, it's because of you. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't do enough personal development, or you quit too early. And so it's like I made 0 excuses because I never wanted to look back and say, wow, I could have done this, I should have done that. And so I didn't even allow myself that room for error. And so moving forward, I feel like it was actually a really good thing that I was able to do that, because I was, I stopped making excuses in my personal life after that. And I just became very, very disciplined from, because of the person that I have to become in network marketing. I will say though, it's way more worth it to be like hardworking and to be disciplined and be motivated and make no excuses in any other industry except for network marketing. If you apply all those values and principles into other things like real estate or in school or in starting a business, you will be successful. But network marketing is a false reality. You're just never going to achieve that version of reality because it does not exist. And just take it from someone who was in it for 1.5 years, and I was in it way longer than I should have been because I didn't want to quit and I really wanted it to work for me, and it just didn't. Hi, it's me, Editing Gabby. Take it from someone also who never takes no for an answer. Like, I could have a bunch of dead plants and I'm like, no, there's still hope. And it's like, no, they've been dead for a week. And I'm like, no, we can revive them. I never say no because I'm like, there's always a way. I'm not a quitter. And I don't like saying no, especially no to myself. So anyways, I am so happy that you're still here. If you are, let me know if you guys have any more questions in the comments below. There were so many things that I did that I honestly regret because I was so manipulated into thinking all of these things. Like, I'm so embarrassed to even say. And like, I'll just give you one example. I had a girl that I worked with my sophomore year of college, and there was a family member who had cancer. And the whole thing with Vemma was that it was like your vitamin shot put into energy drinks and coffee. So for young kids, it was like an easy way for you to drink and take your vitamins, because let's say like the Vemma shot was already in the pre-made coffee. So just by drinking my coffee, I would be getting my vitamins in. Same for the energy drinks, same for everything. So that was like their whole thing, which is why they targeted like young people and sick people and all of that stuff. And so I remember there was a girl who I worked with, and I feel so sick to my stomach that I even believe this, because deep down, I swear on my entire being, I thought this company was going to like cure cancer, like cure the world. Like I was 100% all in. So anyways, this girl that I worked with, she had I think it was her dad had cancer, and he was like not gonna make it. He had just a few weeks left, and the company, like my upline or someone, gave me like a huge Vemma, which is like all of the liquid multivitamins. They gave me a huge bottle of it because just to try, I guess. And I gave it to this girl thinking that it would cure her dad's cancer. And it's like, looking back, I'm like, that is so messed up, and I'm so embarrassed to even like put this on the internet and say that I did that. But I truly believed in my 18-year-old naive, manipulated mind that this company was going to cure cancer, that it was going to do like I was practically in a cult, honestly. And so, and I just can't imagine how she must have felt when I gave that to her, because she's like, my dad is literally like, he has cancer, like, you really think these vitamins are gonna help? Like, no. God, I'm so embarrassed to even say that, but I can say that I'm sorry to that girl. I did apologize like recently, because that was not okay for me to do, and it's something that I still think about to this day, even though it happened 7 years ago. Well, I was 18, I'm 25 now. 8 years ago. 7 to 8 years ago. And I'm just disgusted with myself that I even did that, and that I even thought that would. So anyways, I have a lot of other stories like that where I'm just like, I look back on the things that I did and I'm like, that was so cringy. But truly, I'm not a bad person, and I just got sucked into the wrong company, and I thought I was doing the Lord's work, I swear. So anyways, that was my MLM experience. If you're thinking about joining an MLM, don't. Save yourself the trouble. And if you're looking for something to fulfill a need, or if you're bored and you want to just like hop into something new and try something new, go start a business. Go start an Etsy shop. Maybe go do some freelance work. Maybe start a blog. There's so many other things that you could do with your time that will be way worth it in the long run. They always say like, oh, it's only like $200 to start your own business. Guess what? I started a scrunchie shop on Etsy called the Poppy Shop for literally less than $5, because one, yes, I did have all the fabric, but also you could use like old clothes and use the fabric for your scrunchie, and then use hair, like I use hair ties. So they're really good scrunchies because I actually use real hair ties as opposed to like elastic. And not only did I start it for super cheap, I invented like a new way to create scrunchies, because all other scrunchies are made with elastic, so they don't really hold your hair up. So get creative, get innovative. If you don't have money, you can figure it out. Don't use it as an excuse, because there is no excuse. And like I said, that's one really good thing that I learned from this company. But just make sure that you're smart and you apply your time wisely, and you can do anything you want. It's 2020. Oh, and I started it in a pandemic, and I made $1,400 not my first month, but my second month. First month, I had really bad SEO. And so what did I do? I listened to a podcast on SEO and keywords for Etsy, and I just like started learning how to rank up on the Etsy search. And so I figured it out. I made some changes. I pivoted the right way, not the MLM pivot type of way. I wouldn't change my experience for anything. I'm just happy that I was younger when it happened, and I was able to sort of like get that out of the way, take the lessons that I learned from it, and then apply it to my 20s. So thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to make more fashion videos for you guys. I have a really cute little DIY video that I'm gonna make on how to make a little shirt like this with the shoulder pads. This shirt's actually from Zara, but I'm gonna show you guys how you can make one of these using a vintage blazer. So anyways, stay tuned for that. I will see you guys later, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.